Hello, hope everyone is doing alright. Yes, it's me, clean shave. I often do. Okay, sometimes I let my beard go down. Okay, sometimes I just shave it off. Now, today we are going to talk about something uh, that is now happening in the USA, and its effects will be more pronounced um, over the incoming months. Because you see, until now, Americans were, let's say, they were being sold products that were already installed en route to the USA. And now the actual effect of the tariffs is going to be begin to be felt. And I was going around in American social media, in YouTube, in some news outlets and whatnot, and of course prices are rising. Some guys talking about the price of beef, for example, going up minimum $4. A guy was complaining that last month he bought his favorite coffee brand for around euros, $6, and it was now 12.99. No, and it's if you go around into an American social media, unless you are going through those magazines that just want to say everything is all right, the type of persons that uh, hide themselves in their narratives instead of facing up with the truth. Or they will say, for example, oh no, they have to eat the cost. They have to eat the cost. This is the companies that are stealing us and this and that, whatever. No. And I keep telling you the same thing. Uh, a business is not there to be your friend. Business is there to make business, to sell you things that you want or that you need. But essentially, a business is not a social worker. Okay, I don't know where this American notion of a business comes from. You know, when I go to the local cafe and I buy my espresso, or in the place I go to, around I don't know 80 cents or something like that, or 70 cents. You know, I'm going there and they sell their coffee to me at a profit because they need to earn money, of course. That is ridiculous. If you want to live in a socialist society, like you like to call it, then turn yourselves into the USSR and feel good about it. This is very ironic. A society that treats words like socialism and communism, of course, has taboo, almost the demonic words, and that has such a wish, such a will to live in a society that is essentially socialist, where the steady state would take care of everything, you know, bring down the price of your eggs, bring down the price of this, the price of that. And right now you have a lot more to worry about than the price of eggs, because everything is going up, and it will go up. Okay? And look, uh, even though I'm part German, I don't like the notion of Schadenfreude. I don't think it's morally adequate to use it. I don't think it's intellectually relevant because it's just a quick emotional fix to something that I don't know. I just don't like to gloat. So I'm not gloating, okay? I'm smiling because I find it ironic. Okay. Irony amuses me. But so many contradictions and so many narratives. You're like that person that is a pathological liar that keeps on lying and lying and lying until he he has to lie to keep on covering the lies that he had lied before. You really sound like that type of people. You, in this case, MAGA Americans and all you dumb people, dumb, 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 like a friend says. Now, um, also, there is now another effect that some income economists say that is already happening in the USA. That is the stagflation. What is stagflation? Stagflation is a combination of a couple of factors: uh, high inflation or rising inflation, stagnant economic growth, meaning the economy does not grow, it's stagnant, and unemployment. These are the essential factors, okay? I took my notes here, but if you want to, for example, I don't know, go to Wikipedia, Google the word stag, stagflation, okay, and you will see the entire history of the term. But basically, what does this mean? Now, a a recession. How can I say this? A downturn happens in all economies. A recession may happen in all economies. Uh, so it's considered, how can I put this? So it's considered natural to happen in an economy. And a stagflation, no. A stagflation is worse because a stagflation is like saying your economy is dead, the engine is dead. A recession, no. A recession means the engine was going fast, for example, then something happened and the engine had to diminish the speed. But it continued to recuperate. Now, since COVID, European economies have been recuperating. The only economy that little to nothing recuperated was the UK. But that has to do with the fact that the UK decided to have their little Brexit. Okay, but of course the British won't talk about it. The British in power. Okay, no one wants to admit in that very typical. I have to say this. Sorry, my British friends, and especially sorry, my Scottish friends, but to deny they deny that it was a factor. Meaning, you were trading tariff free, red tape free to the entire European continent, almost Western Europe, 450 million people, and to all the countries that each country of the EU has economical ties with. So, for example, you would have Spain with South America and other parts of the world. You would have Portugal with Brazil and other parts of the world, Africa, okay, even Japan. And, and a UK company could simply move their goods here and through a distributor sell them or buy to all those markets. But still, I keep seeing people. This is not the Brexit I voted for. No, this is exactly the Brexit you voted for. But let's make a video on Brexit. Okay. Now, stagflation is very worrying because this is like telling the world that your economy is fucking dead. Sorry for the swearing, but just to put a nail in the subject. It's much worse because this is saying you have run out of solutions. You have taken measures in your country, in your country's economy, social, whatever, that are creating this situation. Okay, so it's a self-imposed self-imposed harm, essentially. This is the consequence of the tariffs, and it will go worse because you see now, for example, social media from one side to another, you keep talking about the tariffs, and Trump goes on TV and he very in a very 1980s style, you know, perhaps trying to imitate Reagan or some shit like that. But he goes on TV and says, "I have brought billions in tariffs, billions free money for the country." Yeah, boy, he has done no such thing. As I explained in the other videos, other countries are sending you the countries that still want or need to sell to you, at least until they have a better place to sell to, they're continuing to send you the goods because there are importers in your country that are paying these taxes. This this only is relevant for a European country if the importer in the United States is not able to buy the products in these conditions. But the producer, for example, in the EU, suppose a winemaker in Portugal or a winemaker in France, whatever, okay, or a winemaker in Spain, they have an option to send elsewhere. No, they can start from right now immediately looking for other places to sell their products, and they will be sold. Okay, they can do it, but the importer that needs those goods has no options. So, if for example, in the month before, uh, I don't know, 20 bottles of wine were $100, if the government now applies 15% of tariffs on everything, that that guy will have to pay $150, 100 to the producer, to the person that is selling him the wine, and $15 to the state. So this is basically whenever you hear Mr. Trump opening his mouth to say tariff, 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 he's saying tax, tax, tax. He's taxing you. And then you, consumer, you are indirectly taxed at the supermarket. Okay? Because of course the supermarket is not eating that extra cost. As I told you at the beginning of this video, the business is not there to be your friend, it's there to be to do business. And if before they could sell you, for example, what that guy was complaining about his coffee. If before they could sell you your coffee, the coffee, to you at a price, keeping the profit margin, what are they going to do now? They are simply going to add up on that profit margin another tax, and they are going to sell it to you as such. And when I hear people saying you get to, or even the Trump has said this, okay, Mr. Trump, he has said this, you have to eat the tax. You are going to have to eat the tax. He's trying to say that I'm going to charge more for the goods, and you, instead of selling the product more expensive to the public, you're going to eat that cost. So he's trying to rule on independent economic agents, businesses, to do what the government wants. That's socialism or communism. See the irony? See why I'm smiling? Because it's the irony that fascinates me. From a psychological point of view, this is extremely interesting. I know it's not interesting; it's horrifying for the people that are inside the USA living this shit. Okay, I know it's horrifying for you guys and girls, but it's really fascinating how a person can be uh, so delusional. And then he talks about Europe is going to have to buy our energy, and this is going to bring millions into the country. And he speaks of numbers that his country, USA, does not even have the capability of selling this to Europe. And furthermore, Europe is already buying energy from the USA. It's buying oil, the oil and the gas that we used to buy from, for example, from Russia. I'm talking about France. I'm talking about Germany. I'm talking about. It's not so much Portugal and Spain, for example, because we also buy some from the USA, but we get the majority of our oil from North Africa, from Nigeria, and even some from Brazil and South America. Okay, even before the entire Russian adventure in the West, trying to submit Ukraine. Even before that, I think the consumption of Russian-based oil products, I think in Portugal it was around 5% or something like that. And in Spain it was a little higher, but not much. You know, I think 7 or 8%. I don't really recall. But go check out the numbers of, for example, 2021, 2022, and you will get a picture of it. But continuing. So it begs the question: why are people surprised that the prices are rising, and why are they doing such a, I don't know how, such a whining in the social media? You voted for it. You voted for this situation. You voted for a lunatic to, for example, ending things that, for example, the US in most of the products that he's now try is tariffing at 15%. You used to get it at 2% tariffs. And then he says a very funny thing. Our products won't pay tariffs. Okay, let me tell you a little secret. It's good for us. It means our government won't charge tariffs on your products. And what products will those be? Energy, oil and gas, and a couple of other stuff that really is meaningless. And for example, you can sell your hormonated beef here because it's against the rules of the European Union. And this is a health matter. It has nothing to do with economy. It's health, meaning uh, if you want to sell, for example, beef here, it will have to be according to the rules of the EU. It would have to be tested. That implies paperwork, and you are going to have to deal with all of that paperwork. The same thing for things, for example, like California sells for Europe to Europe, like walnuts and almonds and all of that, peanuts also, those types of things that are produced in a large scale in states like California and others, of course. You know, I am very curious on how you are unable to see this because it's so simple. Okay, look, uh, a person a person may not know everything about the economy, but we all have some common sense. I would hope so. At least the majority of us to keep a society functioning. And he keeps telling this bullshit here in his government. They keep spewing out this bullshit. And now they find 1,001 distractions. And you folks, you apparently continue to not understand it. I mean, it's not that hard, for God's sakes. You want to know what stagflation or inflation or tariffs are. For example, go to Wikipedia. No, you use Google, write it. What is this? What is that? I mean, look, the internet, you can use it for many things. For entertainment, whatever rocks your world. For information, and for education. For example, I speak a lot of languages, and whenever I want to refurbish, let's call it like this, my knowledge, no, test myself, see how bad is my forgetfulness, my oblivion. See some. Look, I go into YouTube. I go to a couple of creators that have how to speak this, how to speak that, you know, and I test myself, and I drop them a line. You know? Yes, I do. I always. Um, it's all there at the reach of the hand, you know, and and it bothers me. It really bothers me that why aren't people looking for the information? And look, and I'm perfectly conscious. Maybe you have other stuff to think about. You have your private life, your job, your family, whatever. But when someone starts talking about this, instead of going along with their narrative, instead of letting someone else think for you, tell you that narrative, that you then repeat ad nauseum everywhere, tariffs are good, tariffs are good. No, another symptom of communism. Kept, they always kept repeating the same bullshit, and the red hats. That's a bit weird. Okay, but whatever. But look, I I need to tell this to my American friends. Okay, if the situation continues to evolve in the form that it is currently evolving, you are into for a tough ride. And even if you change government tomorrow, even if you retire, let's call it like that, Trump, and put Vance in his place to further your agenda, that agenda will only destroy even more the country. It will. It will. It will because this is all bullshit. I don't know what to tell. I tell you this, for example, if you have a freezer, uh, buy more meat while it's still cheap, freeze it up. Buy more dry goods that last for a long time. Uh, buy some flour, more flour, for example, with bread. Flour also lasts a lot. If you don't want it to spoil, put it in a plastic container or a plastic bag, seal it up nicely, and keep it away from sunlight and heat. Flour lasts for a long time like this, for example. Also sugar and all of that things. Because, and I don't know what else to tell you, okay? I I'm making this video after talking with someone about this. It's how you go to the grocery shops and look, and even here, prices have risen a little. Not much, but they have risen a little. But at least things are still accessible, okay? And I have things like, for example, I told you in my last video, like the NHS and all of that, and other social amenities that exist here that help you to deal with these situations, that help you to deal with all of this, you know, that give you a kind of a social network. And sometimes it's not enough. Yes, of course, it's not enough, okay? Around here, we are living just like you are, okay? We have the same issues, the same problems, but you are living in a self inflicted pain. Again, sorry, my British friends, again, like the UK with Brexit. And if you don't know this, again, gotta make another video about Brexit. The UK just needs to balance their spreadsheets, follow the Copenhagen criteria, start right now to do that, and then start the path of discussing with the EU returning to the EU. It's possible, okay. It's possible, okay. When it comes down to it, it's just a question of negotiation. But it's not easy, okay. And having people like Reform and Nigel Farage in the UK politics, having a media that is, it's not media. There is, I would say, there's about 99% of narratives and 1% of journalism in the entire UK. And I will challenge anyone that says it's not, okay? Because the sources of information, okay, they are the same. The same bullshit that they try to feed you in the UK is fake news here. Completely fake news and misinformation, just like the United States. Okay, just like when they, for example, uh, in my streams, I think I just caught one or two, but there are friends in which I mod. Two of them are British, and especially in one, in all shots, look, it's a complete invasion of bots, and some are Autobots. Okay, and if you have been doing modding for moderating, if you have been doing it for some time, let's put it this way, like me and others, of course, you know how to recognize when it's an Autobot, meaning a bot farm that spills bullshit into streams, trying to flood the streamer. And then you have the others. And they are divided in two groups. The ones that enter in the chat very innocently and then start trying to spread their narratives. And whenever I and others, the other ones that work for me in these channels that I'm talking about, they're also like this. We cut the bullshit. Get out. Because people that are there, they want to talk about the stream or even banter about other stuff. It doesn't matter. People are not there to be harassed by idiots. And then you also have the other group that is the ones that just want to put a funny line and insult the person that is doing their work. Also, an instant go fuck yourself. And this is the quality of people that you have. Okay. I look. When it was the manifestations, I think Trump called them riots in LA and whatever. When all of that was happening, I watched it. I even made a video or stream about it. I think, and you wouldn't imagine the quality of the people that were talking in the chat. One of them, I knew them, and this is the type of people uh, that go into a stream, and instead of trying to talk, and let me put this clearly. Okay, you can criticize the person, okay, as long as you're polite. You can say, for example, I don't think you're right. I think what is happening is this and this. And that will be perfectly acceptable in any community that is free. But for you Americans, for you, and some British, for you, free speech is the ability of countering all others are saying, and countering just for countering, without solid, without something to tell you, something to back your claims, without anything, just an empty deny. And then, when that does not work, you start with the narratives. Start talking, for example, the Americans like to talk about Jefferson, they like to talk about a lot of bullshit, and then they distort completely the sense of the words. Me, for example, when I use a quotation, for example, of a historical figure or movement, whatever, I take into the account the situation in which I do it. So, for example, you notice that I use some Latin, sorry, expressions. And this has nothing to do with being posh or trying to look smart, whatever. No, I learned Latin. I had around, I don't know, 4 years or 5 years of Latin in school. So, for example, when I say ad nauseam, what does this mean? Ad nauseam means to be sick, wanting to puke, nausea. It's the word in Portuguese is nausea, and this means ad nauseam means repeating a narrative incessantly, okay, until it becomes disgusting, until it becomes. This is exactly what these people do. Maybe on this video, some will do it. If they are not impolite, I won't even block those comments. But if they try to offend others or offend me, of course, they get kicked out. No use in wasting energy with this type of people. But again, I'm sorry to say this, but those prices are going to continue to rise. Maybe they will plateau at a level because they can continue to climb. But then you are going to have shortages. Because when the prices plateau, this means that the sellers, let's call it like this, the ones that are buying, importing the goods to the USA, they know they cannot they cannot make you pay more. If they cannot make you pay more, they will just import the things that they know you are certainly going to buy, and all the rest, kaput. But look, let's talk. Let's talk in a year or something like that, okay? And let's see who was right. Maybe you will have unicorns across the sky and whatever. But again, irony. Hope to hope to see you all in the next one, and have yourselves a wonderful week.